Hey guys, welcome to the Daisy Dates podcast, where I talk all things mindset, heartbreak, love, finding love, navigating love, dating apps, and everything in between. This podcast is for you if you're single, but also if you're in a relationship, you can learn a whole load of new stuff. I'm Daisy, I'm the host, and well, if you're a regular listener, you will know that this episode is a little bit delayed. This is episode 10 of season 2, but if you do follow me, you might just forgive me because you'll know that my end of year was kind of really busy. I was Cinderella in the local panto, so I got to play a real life princess, which was really, really fun. And yeah, it just got really busy, so I just thought I'd top up this season with this kind of episode 10 as like a small little bonus episode, and then season 3 is going to be out in the next few weeks. And you know what, I'm going to change the vibe up a little bit, so I'm going to do a few more just like this. If you're watching on video, I'm currently on my bed, just a little bit more chilled. I think I want to make the podcast with just me way less structured, so that I can just kind of say exactly what's in my brain and not worry about how it's going to come out. Don't worry though, loads of great guests are going to join me in season 3 as well. Currently recording for it, and I'm very, very excited. But this episode, I just wanted to talk about expectations when dating. Now, before we start, please like, follow, subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. Please press that little button, and if you enjoy this episode, at the end, just give it a little rating, 5-star. But all of that is really helping to boost this podcast as one of the best for dating and relationships in the charts, especially on Spotify. Anyway, to the episode, expectations when dating, but I'm talking more first dates, okay? So upon recording this, we're middle of the week. You might be going on a date this weekend, or hey, maybe Thursday. Thursday is the new Friday after all. And I just wanted to talk about expectations when dating, because since finding a partner, I have kind of reflected on the expectations that I had, and I guess I've realised that some of them were just a little bit unnecessary. So a massive top tip that I have if you're dating currently is your expectation when it comes to getting ready for a date. We're all guilty of it. Spending hours curling our hair, maybe even getting your nails done just for this specific date. I mean, we should be doing all of that stuff anyway, just for us. But sometimes if you've got a date coming up, I do know what it's like, and you just want to get everything done, right? So you spend hours getting ready. Your whole day, maybe your whole week, revolves around getting ready for this date. And I just want to talk about not spending such a long time getting ready for a first date and just lowering your expectations. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not about lowering your standards or boundaries or anything like that. It is not going for people that you don't fancy or that you're not attracted to. That is not what this is. But it is lowering your expectations of a first date. So if you are about to get ready for a first date, then what I want you to actually do is just get ready as if you were going to work that day. Now, obviously, if some of you have to wear scrape back and no makeup or whatever to work, then that might not work for you. So imagine that you're just meeting a friend that you catch up with a lot for coffee. How would you actually turn up to that coffee, knowing that your friend is not there to judge how you look, to judge if you look tired, or to judge your body or anything like that? That is how we need to be approaching our dates. A date is for someone to get to know you. Of course, feeling good on a date is so important for how you're going to come across on that date. But anyone that doesn't like you for you authentically isn't going to be the right person for you anyway. So with this in mind, start showing up more authentically on your dates. Be your genuine self. Now, I'm not saying to put on trackies for your date if you just love a trackie, putting on tracksuit every single night after work. That's fine. Obviously, be smart, dress appropriately for the place that you're going. But stop putting such high expectations on what you need to look like and yourself, and then therefore that puts higher expectations on the date and the pressure of the date going forward. So as an example, a reason why, I'm giving you this advice is because I went on a date once, and I've been on lots of dates once. I went on a date once, and This was when I was living in Leeds. I met this guy and I had spent so long getting ready, okay, because it was just like a Saturday. I didn't have a lot to do. I didn't know loads of people in Leeds anyway. My housemates weren't in. So I just kind of got ready for ages. I curled my hair. I was getting really frustrated when it wasn't curling. You know what that's like. And kind of just going over and over with heat on my hair, putting makeup on. I really spent ages looking for an outfit. And I think I'd even gone out that week and bought like new chinos to wear because it was just a coffee date. So I struggled with a coffee date because I'm not really a casual dresser. And then all of my other clothes were kind of a bit OTT for just a coffee date. And for some reason, I used to play down my clothes a little bit on dates as well. Like I wear quite eccentric clothing, quite noticeable clothing, my bright blazers. I kind of wouldn't wear that on a first date. And I think that's okay. But again, maybe I wasn't being genuinely and authentically myself because I just wasn't wearing what I actually adore wearing. But anyway, I went out and, a lot of effort went into the look of this date. I turned up and I don't know, what should we call him? Let's call him Ben for now. I don't think I've ever dated a Ben. And he turns up in chinos and a top. This top was unironed and his chinos had a stain right by the crotch. Imagine the type of stain that if you were to eat a flake bar whilst driving or like a twirl and the flakes come off it, then they kind of sit on your crutch and then you don't do much about it. That's what his crutch looked like. And I was really annoyed, actually, if I'm going to be honest. I mean, you haven't even ironed your shirt for me, and you've turned up in trousers that need washing. And I was just so upset with how long I had spent getting ready for that date. I had such good expectations because he was so good on paper, and by text, he was really like, complimentary and sociable. And I was excited for this date. So it was so disappointing turning up and seeing that he hadn't even made an effort for this date. And I think that expectation I had going into the date because of how much effort I put into it was then immediately disappointing. And to be honest, the date was so boring. I didn't really give it a chance anyway, but it was really boring. He was not the person that he presented himself as via text. But my point is, even if I hadn't put so much effort into this day, I would have been disappointed anyway. But we give ourselves such a high expectation of how the date's going to go by buying new, things, new, I don't know, trainers, making them sure they're extra wide or whatever, that I just think that we're not actually paying close attention to what happens on the date. So that wasn't a great example because he was really boring. So don't, don't be like, oh, maybe I put too much expectation on it if it was genuinely a boring date. But do you get what I'm trying to say here? Like, we need to concentrate more on if you like this person when we're sat down. What qualities does this person have? Rather than all of your time going into how you look on this date. And I think I made that mistake a lot when I was dating. Like, a lot of it went into how I came across, and I really worked on, how I could be my best self and what kind of things I could talk about. And through the week, if I knew I had a date, I'd be like, oh, I've done, played netball this week, or I've been to the gym loads this week, or I've had this cool work opportunity. So I'll kind of gather these things, remember them, and talk about that on the date. And I wasn't concentrating on the other person or like what they offered me as well as a potential partner, or how they were treating me on a date. I was putting way more effort into me, myself, how I looked and how I was coming across. But dating is a choice, and you get to choose too. So even if you come away, if you go on a date and you represent yourself as the fab person that you are, that doesn't matter if you're not actually taking in how the person in front of you is actually behaving towards you. If you're taking more notice of yourself, then I don't think it puts you in good stead for, good dating, good practice with dating. And then the next point I want to talk about with expectations is the expectations that we have for a guy to take full control on a date. And, you see a lot of people on socials be like, sit in your masculine and sit in your feminine and let the guy do everything. Okay, it's nice to have a guy sit in his masculine, and, there's actually a lot of science that shows we as women, if we just sit in our feminine characteristics a little bit more, and by the way, this has nothing to do with being male or female, it's to do with the feminine qualities of what we, align feminine traits with, like empathy and sensitivity, whereas the male kind of masculine traits, so sorry, nothing to do with male, the masculine traits that we kind of assign are like the strong, ambitious, determination qualities. So if we sit more in our feminine, it is quite attractive to then allow a man to sit in his masculine, to be able to do stuff like arrange dates and take that control that a lot of women want from a man. But what I will say is I see a lot of things on socials where they're like, if he hasn't literally text you like dinner here at 7, he's not the one for you. If he's taking you on a coffee date and not a dinner date, he's not the one for you. And although I'm really big on like ensuring that you stick to your boundaries, your standards and all of that, why are we expecting guys to take us out on dinner dates for a first date? Why are you expecting that? I mean, you might not even like the guy. Do you really want to sit through a dinner with him? And I find it really bizarre that we've got to this place where a guy takes you on a first date will literally be like a yes or no for someone. Like, we're literally not even giving a person a chance yet. I don't particularly love coffee dates. I never did. I still really don't. But I do think they're a good way to get to know someone with no alcohol involved and low cost, to be able to get to know someone as well. Like, if you are someone that expects a guy to pay on a date, how can you expect to go on a few dates a week / a few dates a month and expect the guy to pay for all of those meals that you're expecting? I think that's just outrageous. Like, I never judged the quality of a person by the date that they suggested. And I say that because although I never really had any great walk-in dates, I know a lot of people that met really great people. They didn't necessarily become partners, but they met great people and maybe they became friends or whatever. But they met great people on walk-in dates. They didn't initially be like, oh, he wants to take me out for a walk and a coffee, so I'm not going to go because, I need a man to take me out for a 3-course meal. I think that's a really bad attitude. So again, coming back to that expectation, if you expect dinner on a first date, you're automatically putting so much pressure on the man, like to have to pay and where he picks and all of that kind of thing. But you're also putting so much pressure on the date itself, like looking into each other's eyes the whole time with someone you don't really know is actually so intense. And although eye contact is really good, at least if you go for a walk, you can kind of look at each other every now and then look forward, and there's distractions and there's birds and there's other people and there's things to comment on. Whereas in a dining experience, in a restaurant, is what I was trying to say, you're quite confined to all of those things. So I think that expectation needs to go in the bin as well. And just as a good example, I think I take a lot of control in plans in my current relationship. So although I always did like the idea of a guy being like, okay, meet you at 7. And hey, I still think that's good to be like, oh, let's go to this park at 12, or like, let's meet at this coffee shop at this time. I still think that's good practice. So I'm okay with that. But actually when I'm, I thought I wanted this man to take control and stuff. But actually in a relationship, I take quite a lot of control. I'm still quite dominant. Like, I do make a lot of the plans in my current relationship. And, it's weird because when you actually know someone and, you like them, you don't sit there so much being like, oh, he needs to take full control. I'm not going to make any plans ever. It's Valentine's Day and he needs to do that. It isn't like that when you actually have like a nice, nurturing, equal relationship. Whereas for some reason when we're dating, we put all this pressure on a guy particularly, I think, to make all these plans. But in a relationship, I make the plans. So, why was I so set on, he hasn't, picked a place or whatever? And, it is nice. It's a nice quality for a guy to pick the place and pursue you and tell you a time. I'm not saying that is a bad thing at all. But I'm just saying sometimes we put all these expectations on people when dating and then we don't have them in a relationship anyway. So why are we putting them expectations on it? So I take a lot of control in plans with my partner, but then he's good in the relationship at, getting in the stuff in the schedule that I might forget. Like he ensures that we meet up with his grandparents, and he has introduced me to so many of his friends, and he makes sure that I've met all his friends. And I think that's really nice. He's taking control of that. Like actually inviting me into his world and his life is way more important than, it coming around Valentine's Day and him being like, right, dinner at 7 here. I think it's way more real and authentic, again, for him to like make the plans when he really wants to make the plan, like when it involves seeing his mates and meeting the people that are important to him and all that kind of thing. And then when it comes to the event or whatever, or the plan, he takes more control when it comes to going to the places. Like he might be like, look, you have a drink tonight, I'll drive. You've had a busy week, I'll drive tonight. And that is super masculine and lovely. And that's not necessarily an expectation I had. And that's something that I get. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes we hold really heavy, big expectations that we might see on social media when it comes to dating, but I think particularly first dates. And what I'm asking you to do is just drop these expectations a little bit and just see what it gets you. Keep your standards, but maybe you don't need to have such high expectations of someone that you don't know and someone that doesn't even know you yet. Because on the other side of the coin, why should someone have to pay for you to eat your dinner when maybe they're not earning as much, they haven't got the promotion at work, they're struggling a bit, their mortgage might have went up, they might be saving for a house. They've got all the same stresses with finances and everything else that you have too. So why should they have to pay for your dinner on a first date? Why should that be a thing that you require from a man to take you on a first date for dinner, choose where to go, make the plan and pay for it? That is a huge expectation to put on someone that you don't even know. And if you just pull this back to when you're in a friendship with someone, my best friend came to my house last time I saw her. We live about an hour and a bit away. So my expectation is that I go to her the next time. And we just kind of know to take it in turns. It doesn't always work out like that, but we do that naturally without, kind of saying. I mean, that's a friendship, right? You're equal and you make it work between you. So why do we not have that same expectation when we're in a relationship? Why are we expecting the other person to do all of the work? I'm going to leave you with that thought. That was episode 10 of season 2. I'm Daisy from the Daisy Dates podcast. If you feel like you got anything out of this episode today, please do like, subscribe, follow, leave a rating, particularly if you can, on the app that you're listening on. This is available wherever you go to get podcasts. So if you're listening on a different app or platform for now, just know that it's everywhere else as well. Spotify, Amazon, Google, everywhere. Follow me on Instagram, DaisieDatesPodcast. You can also follow my personal Instagram, Daisy Bell. And I'm over on TikTok at DaisyBell6. And we have a real great community here with Daisy Dates. And there's also a Facebook group that you can get involved with, Daisy Dates, it's called. And there's about 2,000 women in this group at the moment. And the whole point originally was to kind of expand our friendship groups and meet up with other women, whether you're single or in a relationship, and just expand friendship groups. As you get into your 20s and beyond, it can be much harder to meet friends than it was like at uni age or whatever. So come and join that group. It's also turned into quite a massive advice group, and it's a really safe space. People post anonymously or just as themselves, and they end up getting like a whole thread of comments and opinions, and it's just a really nice supportive community. So come and join me there as well. And hey, let's look forward to season 3. I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.